another Millennial in Debt video. Have I filmed 3 videos in a row wearing the same exact outfit because I'm so tired and it's so hot in my house? Yes. Am I still going to bring you great, amazing content because that's what you deserve and that's what I'm here for? Also, yes. So if you are new here, hit that subscription button below and turn on the notification bell so you get every single time I upload a video. Time is an illusion. Time is not real. That is a soapbox I am standing on because it's been 2 years since the Rona. How? Right? It feels like yesterday. But we're going to be talking about 10 things that this pandemic has taught us about our finances, things that we never really thought about, things that we kind of knew, but this pandemic definitely reaffirmed. So let's get right into it. The first thing, which I feel like I always kind of knew or thought about, is having health insurance tied to your employer is risky AF, especially when a global pandemic causes businesses to close, people to get furloughed, health insurance to get cut during a health crisis. The irony. And so what many people have started doing now, which of course is an additional cost, but how can we put a price on our health? Oh, adulting is so exhausting. Yeah, so people have started taking supplemental insurance outside of their employer insurance, especially if their employer pays for the premium. They are able to pay for supplemental insurance just in case. You never know. And it really never hurts to have supplemental insurance to cover any gaps or areas that might not be covered by your primary insurance. The next thing that really was super important when we started, navigating and living our new norm in the pandemic is that you need to have an emergency fund and it needs to be easily accessible. A lot of times people think that they can invest their emergency fund. No. If we're looking at the volatility of the market now, which is normal, no one panic sell. If we're looking at how volatile the market can be, you don't want to have your emergency money tied into the market when it could drop at any moment. So you definitely want to keep your emergency savings in a high yield savings that you can access super easy. And you also want to make sure that you have 3 to 6 months worth of expenses. I know the original financial advice was to have $1,000. The truth of the matter is maybe $1,000 is not going to cover very much. Not many emergencies are going to cover, a car emergency could cost you $3,000 easily. So it's really important that if you do not have an emergency savings fund or you have not been prioritizing your emergency savings fund, that you try to shift a little bit of your attention, doesn't have to be all of it, but a little bit of your attention towards adding into your emergency savings fund so that it could at least cover 3 months of your expenses. The next thing that we learned a lot about in the pandemic is that you have to be mindful about spending. I have always thought about being mindful in spending because I know that I can be an emotional spender and I try to wait. I'm like, okay, I want this. And I'm like, wait, why do I want this? Do I want this because I'm sad? Do I want this because I'm happy? What's the reason? And I usually sleep on it. Wait a day or two. And if I still want it, then, I will consider going to get it. And if not, if I've forgotten about it, then I really didn't want it, right? So that's what's really, really, really important. You want to make sure that you're mindfully spending and not emotionally spending, because do we remember people buying out toilet paper? Do we remember that, right? Yeah, we didn't forget. So mindful spending over emotional spending is a definite big financial lesson that we learned during this pandemic. The next thing that we really kind of got forced into understanding, believing, knowing, and figuring out is you need to have a financial plan. A lot of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, and that is, as we have realized time and time again, that is often a systemic barrier. However, we need to have a financial plan because we can lose our jobs just like that, right? And as we can see, the government's not really coming to save us like they should. So a financial plan is very necessary in order for you to be financially secure. The next lesson that we learned during the pandemic is to always think long term. That is with both saving and with investing. I remember very clearly fighting with my father, who is now retired, living his life, having so much fun, having an argument with him in March of 2020 to not touch that 401k, to leave it where it is. Don't pull it just because of all of the volatility. Because as we saw, the market then just skyrocketed. And yes, the market's doing some crazy correcting right now. However, we want to think long term, right? My investment money is supposed to be something I'm worried about in 30, 40 years. So do not panic sell. Do not go and try to put all your money under your mattress. Think long term. The next two lessons that we learned financially are pretty closely tied. And yes, they have to do with investing. I feel like a broken record. We can save and invest a lot more than we think. And it doesn't always have to look like one particular way. If you have a 401k, you are investing. If you have a Roth IRA, you are investing. If you have a money market account, if you have a CD, you are saving. So it doesn't have to look one way. You don't have to follow one particular financial advisor or financial influencer's guidance. As long as you are taking steps to securely save and invest your money, you are doing the right thing. Now, what I realized that I could save and invest a lot more was when I started using Personal Capital. And this is not a plug for them. This is not sponsored. They don't pay me. Personal Capital really showed me like, oh, you're saving a lot, but this percentage of your saving could be going into investing. And that wasn't something I was thinking about because I'm just like, I should save this amount. I should save this amount every month. And then it's just like, why? Your emergency savings is funded, invest, right? And so that's really what I started paying attention to, like, oh, yes, I want to have this in my savings, but I can put in this extra $10. I can put in this extra $20. You can do a lot more than you think and a lot more than you give yourself credit for. And sometimes it really just takes a third-party app to help you see where you can manage and move your money. So if you're not using Personal Capital or if you're not using any type of app to help guide you financially, I do highly recommend using one just so it can show you things that you might not see, right? Things you might have a blind spot to. And secondly, on the same vein of investing, you want to diversify your portfolio. A truly diversified portfolio will have less impact or less reaction to volatility in the market. And what true diversity means is you're not investing in the same funds that are investing in the same companies. I shared on TikTok and on Instagram. Follow for more. You know you want more financial tea. I shared recently on TikTok and Instagram that a lot of people are pushing, oh, I invest in VTI, I invest in VOO. They're investing in the same companies. So you don't need to invest in both. You want to truly diversify so you're getting a nice, large pool of stocks and companies you're investing in. So if, one sector goes down or two sectors, you have, your money spread very well throughout all of the sectors. The last three lessons that we learned during this pandemic: high interest debt. Oh, we already knew we hated it from the start and we hate it even more. So it is very, very, very important that you try to avoid high interest debt as much as possible. Of course, that comes from a place of privilege. If you need to use credit cards, you need to use credit cards, but we want to make sure that we're focusing in on the need and not just the, oh, I want this Louis Vuitton bag. We don't want to treat ourselves into high interest debt because we know it tanks our credit score and it makes it very, very, very hard to get out of debt in general. The next thing is that a budget is only as bad as you make it. Your budget can be so simple, your budget can be easy, your budget can work for you as long as you want it to work for you, as long as you follow the things that make you happy and still lead you towards your financial goals, towards your financial freedom. So if you know that zero-based budgeting doesn't work for you, because sometimes it doesn't work for me either, then you could try the 50-30-20. If you know that doesn't work for you, you can also try the 80-20. There are so many different budgets, and I'll link the video below where I go over these budgets. There are so many different budgets that you can try. If you've budgeted and you're like, I hate budgeting, it doesn't work for me, try a different budget. There's no reason to pigeonhole yourself into one budget because your favorite influencer uses it and it's making you crazy, right? We don't want that in 2022. We don't want that ever. And the last lesson that this pandemic has taught us is to know your worth. The Great Resignation, it's about time. You want to make sure that you are working in a place that treats you right, that treats you well, that, values the amount of effort that you're putting in, that values your health and your safety. So that was something that I truly feel was like such a benefit because there were not many benefits in these last 2 years. I truly feel like this pandemic taught us to know our worth, value our worth, know our time, and move and act accordingly. And we're going to keep bringing that into 2022 and beyond. Thank you for watching. What lessons have you learned? Leave them in the comments for me below, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.